Hey guys, this is my second rant video for the day. I'm going to be talking about why I love DEI. So, DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I'm going to be talking about why I love it in films. So, the first film I'm going to talk about is a childhood favorite film, Men in Black. So, Men in Black, obviously, these two characters couldn't be more different. You have Tommy Lee Jones, Agent K. He is the seasoned, kind of stiff, kind of do everything by the book. He's the old white guy, basically. He's kind of boring. Then you have Agent J. You have Will Smith. He comes in to MIB. He's new to the force. He is young, he's black, he's kind of cool, he's hip, and he gets paired with the old white guy. And I gotta say, the dynamic between these two, legendary. Like, it's awesome. I mean, if there was ever a good argument for diversity, then honestly, this is the franchise. I would say, yeah, you want diversity, you want to see why it's good, just look at Men in Black. I mean, the characters couldn't be more different. You pair them together, their antics, well, the antics of Agent J, Will Smith, and, he's just like, he gets on Tommy Lee Jones' nerves. Tommy Lee Jones he likes things to go according to plan. He wants things to be calculated, whereas Agent J, sometimes he has spontaneous ideas or plans. And so it's like, the dynamic between those two characters is absolutely amazing. So that's why I love diversity, right? People from different backgrounds coming together and, just bringing something new to the table. Another good example of diversity would be Rush Hour. So Rush Hour, those are some movies I would also watch growing up as a kid. It's kind of like the same thing in a way, except obviously in MIB, they're protecting the world from aliens and fighting the bad ones and making sure the good ones do everything they're supposed to do and things like that. In Rush Hour, obviously they're like going after like criminals and things like that. And you have like the guy from China, which is obviously Jackie Chan, and then you have Chris Tucker. So you have like a foreign national with like a Chinese police officer, and then you have like a black kind of hip cool guy. I don't know. I think they tried to portray black people as being like really hip and cool, like back in like the early '90s and 2000s, and like a lot of movies. But yeah, that's diversity. That's diversity right there. The Chinese guy and the black guy. So I mean, those movies are hilarious, right? And the fight scenes are great. The way they work together, and they coordinate their attacks. But yeah, those guys super different. They're when they first meet, Chris Tucker's like, "Do you speak any English?" It's funny. It's like it's you couldn't say these things now in a comedy film. People would the people on Twitter would like melt down and say, "Oh, this is gonna cause harm to the Asian American communities. I hope studios will make sure to portray people in a better light as not to cause harm to the people from marginalized communities." They'd say something like that. Whereas back then, it's like, hey, it's just a joke. It's all in good fun. They're partners. That was when they were first meeting and getting to know each other. Like, it's an action comedy film, right? It's not malicious. It's not to hurt anyone's feeling. It's not to make anyone seem less than. You know what I mean? So yeah, diversity, love it. 40-Year-Old Virgin's another one. So obviously you have Steve Carell, and then there's this one black guy, and then there's this other this Indian guy, and I think they work at like a Best Buy store. And so the black guy and the Indian guy joke back and forth with each other. And so the black guy and his wife are getting ready to have a baby, right? And so he's got the ultrasound, and he kind of cast it to like one of the TVs, and then the Indian guy is like, "Tell me, when your son is born, is he born on parole?" Making a joke about obviously like how black people get locked up. So it's like, yeah, it's a racial joke, but it's like it's not malicious, right? Again, it's literally a comedy. I watched that movie probably way too much as a kid. But it's like, yeah, you could have movies like that where people can just like hurl little racist jokes back and forth in the workplace, and it was fine. It was just comedy. It was fun. You could have stuff like that. You don't have that now. I don't even really like comedies these days. Comedies were just better back then. It was, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to tiptoe. You could kind of, if you had an idea, a funny idea that you think people would like, then you just put it out. And, if people wanted to see it, they'd go see your movie. It wasn't about, oh, well, can we put this movie out? Because will it be offensive to some people? No, it was just like, hey, we got these writers, we're going to put this script together. And, they, all types of comedies were coming out back in the day. If you guys remember the American Pie comedies, they were like those college, those teen, like raunchy comedies with like college parties and drinking and stuff like that. Nowadays you probably couldn't have that because it would probably be offensive to some group of people. I don't know. I was gonna say another movie. What was another movie I was gonna touch on real quick that has diversity? I don't know. Oh yeah, Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. I was probably in like fifth or sixth grade watching that movie. Way too young to understand I mean, I got the idea. I didn't know what a gigolo was, but obviously, watching the movie, I realized, oh, these guys are like male prostitutes. So you have Eddie Griffin, a black guy, and Deuce Bigelow, white guy. And there's this scene. So they think Eddie Griffin's character, they're in Amsterdam, by the way. Prostitution is legal, red light district. Weed is legal. Again, this was back in '06, right? So there's this scene where Eddie Griffin's, he's kind of incognito. He's kind of gone underground because people think that he's like the man whore killer or that he's got some association. And Deuce Bigelow walks into a chicken and waffles and he's like, oh, he's like, finally, I found you. And Eddie Griffin's like, oh, you figure that I have to be at a chicken and waffles just because I'm black. He's like, but you are here. Yeah, well, figuring it out is still racist. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Obviously, everybody knows the stereotype that black people like fried chicken. So it's like, yeah, that couldn't be put in a film nowadays because people would say, oh, it's causing harm to the African American community and systemic racism and all this stuff. I mean, it's like, no one cared back then. It was funny. It's still funny. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not to the sensitive people, but it's pretty funny, Chicken and waffles. It's hilarious. I love it. So, again, another reason I love diversity in film. It definitely makes people from different cultures and backgrounds, interact in a way that they wouldn't necessarily do with people that they come from the same culture as. So, again, that's 2 thumbs up to diversity. So when people say, I don't like diversity in film, being diverse is woke and it's too shoot, I don't know what else do they say besides, I don't even know what to say because all they say is woke. I'm trying to figure out any other arguments that these weirdos have, but it's like the only argument that they have is to just like regurgitate woke, woke, woke. I don't know if these people are like following Elon Musk or anything, but Elon Musk said Gladiator 2 was woke. And somebody tried to ask him like, okay, well, what's woke in Gladiator 2? And he couldn't even really answer. Like, he couldn't figure out why Gladiator 2 was woke. I'm assuming they're talking about Denzel Washington's interview where he said there was a gay kiss scene that was cut out, where it's like he plays this guy named Macronus, and apparently he like kisses this guy on the hand, and then he like, I don't know if I can say it, but he does this to him. Basically, he, you know, so that guy is gone. So he kissed him on the hand before he offed him, basically. I think they're referring to that, but yeah, Elon Musk couldn't really explain like why it was woke. So yeah. Anyway, diversity is good. I'll leave on that note.